Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Empowered Living with Brenda Pierce, the Empowered Nurse. Join us for triage of body, mind, and spirit with her inspired guests, author, speaker, healer, TV show producer, and host. Brenda brings guests from around the world to share their story of breakdown to breakthrough and beyond. Here on the Dream Vision 7 Media Network to help you live a more empowered and inspired life. Now, sit back, relax, and let's get on with the show.
Hi, and welcome everyone to this edition of Empowered Living. I'm Brenda Pierce, and I'm here to really help us all to navigate through these strange times with empowering information. And our special guest today is definitely going to make that happen for all of you. As you know, I am a TV show producer and host and an author, and I want to just prime the pump a little bit here, put a little shameless promotion in for the upcoming launch of our book, The Secret Child, Life After Loss, and it's an empowering book to help parents of loss know that there are other parents of loss who really care and really want to help you navigate through those times. And so now we're going to talk about Forrest Rivers, who is our special guest. He is a writer, teacher, and speaker. He splits his time between the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina and the Colorado Rockies. His personal journey of awakening began at the age of 30 on an awe-inspiring trip to Maui, Hawaii. It was there on that enchanted island where the profound healing power of the earth spoke through to his heart and helped him to overcome a period of alcohol abuse. After returning home from the transformative experience, Forrest became interested in the spiritual traditions of the Far East and began to immerse himself in the teachings of Buddhist, Hindu, and the Taoist mystics. Today, Forrest spends his time guiding others to look within and become the best versions of themselves. His new book is the focus of this talk today, and we've given him a whole hour. His book is called COVID-19 and Humanity's Spiritual Awakening, and it is now on Amazon, and you can also get it at forrestrivers.com as well. So, Forrest, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you so much, Brenda, for having me. It's an absolute honor to be on your show.
Well, you know, it's an honor to speak to people who can see some positivity come from this dismal time that we're living in. And I think that, you know, as soon as I read about your bio and what you were offering to speak about, I thought we all need a little bit more compassion and unity in realizing that there is some good to come out of this. And so I really wanted you to be on the show. So here we are. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man. I'm so excited. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, you had this amazing spiritual awakening happen in Maui, and it was at a time in your life where it seemed to be the lowest point in your life. And it seems like when we hit the low, we never know if it's the lowest we can go or if that's it. But I think when you receive some blessings and some awakening yourself, that's when you know you've hit your lowest point and you can only go up from there, right?
Absolutely. What I found in my experience was it really took a lot of suffering for me to awaken. And at the time, right before that trip, you know, I was in a low point. I didn't have very good self-confidence. My general attitude has always been one of positivity, but I found myself in a negative place, really doubting myself, where I was going in my life. And that one trip, for some reason, it just awoke my spirit and helped me realize that the suffering was something of a sandpaper for my awakening. And I think that's really important for everyone to be aware of, that no matter what you're going through, no matter how much suffering, whether it's a death of a loss of a loved one, or you're going through a period of addiction, or you're going through a breakup, whatever it may be, that strengthens you, and that can lead to your own awakening and your own self-improvement. And that did that for me.
Wow, that's great. And, it's that realization that you've been given this opportunity that is really enlivens and puts you on a path where you just know that you know that you know you're on the right path, right?
Yeah, it's something that's intuitive. And when I had that initial awakening, for me, and I think everybody's awakening, something different sparks that. But for me, it was nature, and nature's been a big part of my life since that point, since that trip to Maui. And I realized, I think it was just the peace and stillness and oneness of nature really pulled that out of me, and it gave me confidence to know that I'm on the right path. And that's something that I know intuitively. And I think that's a message that I really want to share today, is here we are, not only individually but collectively, going through this terrible suffering all together, but we can use this suffering for the sandpaper of our awakenings.
That's very wise, and one of the key phrases that I read that you have made this as part of your book and your mission to write this was, unity and compassion are on the rise as a result of the worldwide pandemic. I think that that's very powerful, and I'd love for you to expand upon that, if you would, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Well, I think with the unity, Brenda, this period's been very unusual. It's not so dissimilar from a major world war. We've all been through this together. We keep hearing that phrase, we're all in this together. And yeah, that phrase has been used as kind of a selling point. But really, if you sit with that for a second, that phrase, it really is true. Like, we really have all been through this together. We've all been each other's windows into suffering, each other's mirrors. And I think that alone is powerful, the fact that we've all suffered. We all know somebody who's been affected by this, whether it's somebody who's died, a loved one we've lost, whether it's a job that we've lost because of the pandemic, whether it's our own anxiety that we've been noting has risen during this period. Whatever that suffering is, or the source of it, we've all been through this together. And I think out of that collective suffering is the potential for great unity, because we go through this world thinking that the illusion, the Maya, the Hindus call it Maya, the illusion that we're separate. And I think this pandemic has made us realize, no, we're actually one. We're unified. If we're all suffering through this collectively, then we can also transcend this suffering together and work for something more meaningful and more united at moving forward.
Well, that's a wonderful, wonderful sentiment to have, because this collective suffering is collective sandpaper, right? Rubbing us all raw and getting us real with the reality of our finite self, as well as the infinite part of us as well, right?
Absolutely. And in the book, I point to many examples where we see this collective suffering starting to translate into that idea that we are one, that we are more united. You can point to simple evidence, like very basic things, like the amount of people who have been willing to volunteer at food banks, during this time. People willing to put their own health in jeopardy to help out other people. I know I've talked to many people during this time. Some of them are even elderly who are delivering meals to people unable to leave their homes. There's more interest I've met with people who want to help out the homeless. How have the homeless been dealing with this entire problem? People suddenly have a concern about, oh my gosh, Native Americans. That's one group that we don't hear as much about. And as we all know, Native Americans have suffered greatly during this period and been hard hit. Well, if we lose those traditions and we lose that wisdom, what does that mean for humanity? So I think there's like evidence that people are starting to awaken to the idea that this is something horribly tragic and that's created a lot of suffering, but something that can also unite us. And even when this pandemic does end, we can use this period as a launching pad into a higher consciousness, an awareness that we all are one.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's amazing too how quickly even the suffering of the earth, how quickly it responded to healing itself. When there was lockdown initially started, there was evidence of the ozone repairing itself and life returning to overpopulated, overpolluted canals in the world. And, you know, the evidence is very gratifying when you look at it from the simplicity of how readily mankind and humanity can work together, just like the earth, to heal itself from all of its social atrocities if we just simply look at the simplicity and beauty of each breath and each moment, right?
Oh, that's so beautifully put. I can't put what you just said into any better words. That was fantastic. And yes, exactly. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, just as nature showed the capacity to regenerate itself. I was just going to add to that and say, when you were saying all that, I was thinking of in India, there are reports of people able to see the Himalayas for the first time in 40 or 50 years. All the pollution had dissolved, and just as nature can regenerate, humanity can do the exact same thing. And sometimes it takes really catastrophic events to push us out of our complacency, which I think that this is what COVID represents. And if we could really take a step back, Brenda, we might be able to see that maybe, you know, COVID in some way was a sign from the universe that we can't keep going along this path of living in the illusion of separateness. We can't keep destroying the planet. We can't keep destroying ourselves. We need to move in a way that evolves our wisdom, our compassion in a higher consciousness.
That is amen to that, right? Like, oh my goodness, the ability of humanity to want to gravitate towards comfort and peace rather than pain and displeasure is a natural element of human consciousness. We don't want to live in pain and separatism, and do you think that collectively we brought this on together as as tragic as it is and as uncomfortable as it is? Do you think that as a consciousness we brought this together because we needed something to pull us back together?
Yeah. I mean, I really, truly believe, Brenda, that we are, that everything that happens was supposed to happen. There's nothing in the unfolding of this universe that does not have purpose or some kind of intent. And so I think, yes, this this event, I don't know if I'd be comfortable going as far to say it was destined, but it was certainly, because it happened, it was certainly meant to happen. Or maybe it was destined. It was meant to happen to jolt us out of our complacency, to jolt us out of our lower way of living, and to move into a more unified, like a rarefied perspective of oneness.
Yeah. And with that, with this moving forward, this momentum that has been initiated early in 2020, and some people think it actually started before 2020, and just really became obvious in early 2020. It seemed like that opened this door for you to really express yourself in this way, based on the learnings and teachings that you had already accumulated. And I wonder if you can share a little bit about where you're coming from with this beautiful, empowered perspective based on this narrative that we're in. What was it from the time that you had this earth-shaking awakening to the time that you wrote the book? What is it in there that really propelled you forward? Would you share?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful question, Brenda. So, after I returned from Hawaii, from that initial awakening, I became really interested in spending even more time in nature. It became something that was not just recreational for me anymore, but something that was a true spiritual connection. And so I think nature changed me from the inside out, and it made me more sensitive to the interconnectedness of everything. Because let's face it, you can't go swimming in the water or hiking in the mountains. That's where I spend a lot of my time, or even gardening, right, and not feel your natural connection to everything that is it. So I'd say, like, when I got back from Hawaii, nature really became the catalyst of my yearning, my wanting to share this message of oneness with people. That was developing as I was spending more time in the natural world. And then simultaneously, when I got back from Hawaii, I started spending a lot of time meditating. And with that, I was introduced to a beautiful teacher, and I mentioned him in the book. His name is Dave Smith. And Dave Smith is a meditation teacher I met in Nashville, Tennessee. He now lives in Colorado. And he introduced me to the Theravadan tradition, very mindfulness-oriented. And we did a lot of breath work, and we did a lot of loving kindness or metta meditations. And he was one of the most compassionate and beautiful teachers I had. He basically came from a very rough background. He had been through tremendous suffering himself and his own addictions, and rose above it all. And seeing that in him, that how he worked with his own suffering, became something of a mantra, I guess, for my life moving forward.
That's awesome. Sometimes you just need that life spring, right? And that could be another person or situation that can propel you into a new knowingness. That's great. Beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So with this heightened knowingness and appreciation for the life that you've been given and overcoming adversity yourself, do you feel like you're just starting to get living in your life?
It's funny. I found, Brenda, the more I go along this path of awakening, I truly mean this, the more I'm aware I don't know. I truly feel like there's so much I still need to know. In fact, with every step on this path, I feel like I'm kind of like a newborn in some sense. And I don't know. There's so much I don't know. It's made me more aware of how much I don't know. And if anything, I feel like I'm just now starting to hit my stride. And part of that is being able to express this feeling of interconnectedness I was speaking to before, and my wanting to share that with people. And I feel like that's like kind of like the first step in really living now. I feel comfortable now to be a messenger, not the message, but a messenger, just one of many, where all of the inspiration I've felt can flow through me.
Wow, that's nice. It's like putting down the resistance and just letting life flow through you, and like you say, becoming the messenger. It's not about your message per se, because that's kind of ego-driven, but being the messenger and letting it go.
Yeah, there's no, and I really believe that, Brenda. I'm not the message. I'm just like one of many. And actually, I believe truly, this is what I really believe, that we all intuitively know much more than we think we know about the greater reality of being. We all know more than we think we know all the time. And the way I see my role right now is just to bring people to that simple awareness that, hey, we all already know how to be kind. We all know how to unite. We all know that there is probably something much deeper than our physical realm and our reality, and we know that suffering can be the sandpaper for our awakenings. And and letting life flow through us. This is the first time I've been really feeling like that's happened. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Because the thing is, though, we know that we're only here for a limited amount of time, and naturally we think we always have more time, but these events of this time is really making us feel that that there is a limitation. We are like grabbing onto life because we're not letting it flow. Do you think that has a bearing on the effect of this COVID-19 on us? Or a lot of people do ask, is this really real, or is this a multimedia reality interrupter? I wonder if you could speak a little bit on that.
Yeah, so what I'd say to that is I think the truth is sort of in between. I think it is partly a media creation, and I also think it's partly that's very fear-driven, tied to media ratings and whatnot. And I also think it is a real, pandemic that has created suffering. I think the truth is somewhere in between. There are people who have really suffered. For some of the, people have suffered. People have died. People have lost loved ones. People have lost jobs, their livelihood. There is some very real suffering. But I think what my message is to say that while the truth is somewhere between, that this has been sort of overblown and underblown simultaneously, the bigger message is, what do we do with it? What do we do with all this period that we've had in lockdowns? What do we do with this period where we've had more time in solitude? What do we do with this period where we've had to be isolated from our loved ones? And I think that the message that the answers I've gleaned through this is that this time, regardless if it's been more media driven, or regardless if it is really truly a devastating pandemic, this time has been given us a great insights into how we can live more meaningfully, more fully, and more empowered. And I think there is that a sense that during this period we're becoming more appreciative of the loved ones in our life. We're becoming more appreciative of the time that we have away from work, the time that we have to express ourselves in our art, Brenda, right? The time that we have to deepen our relationship with nature. I can't tell you how many people I've met who have said, this last year has made me realize I need to get outside more. I need to be outside more. I need to create and to write. That is like the God within us seeking expression. We all yearn for that. And this period has been a great time to allow creation, our connection with nature, our appreciation for solitude and for the people around us, our loved ones. All of that has come out of this. And I'd add, it's been a great time to work on our fear of death, which I would argue you can't begin to live fully until you can overcome your fear of death.
That in itself is very powerful, very, very powerful. In your book, you mentioned some incredible people who share stories that really inspired you and are there in the book to inspire readers. First of all, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about the book and how they can get a hold of it, and share some of these stories if you don't mind.
Oh, I would love to, Brenda. So, the book is available on Amazon. It's in Kindle edition, and it's also in print edition, and it's also available through. You also get through Conscious Media, which is my Conscious Life Media, which is my publisher. And the book really was formulated. I wrote the book as COVID was unfolding. That's kind of one interesting thing about this work, is I was writing it as I was experiencing what we're all experiencing step by step. So it actually began as a series of essays that started in March, right when we went into lockdown. In my day job, I'm a community college professor, and when we got sent home from school and went on Zoom to continue our classes, and I thought to myself, far out, as this is happening, I should chronicle this in a series of essays when I'm feeling existentially about everything that's happening. And as the pandemic unfolded, it turned into a series of essays that I was writing for this one publication called The Mindful Word. They're based out of Canada, and the book just unfolded like naturally with the pandemic, and along the way of writing the book, I met a lot of interesting souls and got to talk to some fascinating beings who shared me their stories, how they were coping with COVID themselves, and I went to certain people for inspiration. And one of my favorite stories, absolutely, was meeting, and you might remember this, meeting an AT hiker when I moved back from Colorado to the Smoky Mountains, which has like my heart and soul. When I moved back to these mountains, where I live is close to the Appalachian Trail, and I met one day I was hiking on a long, on a long hike, and I met this one AT hiker with the trail named Noble, and he was in his 50s, and I asked him, Brenda, I said, what do you, how are you out here during a pandemic? How are you hiking from Georgia to Maine? For any listeners out there, the Appalachian Trail is a 2,100-mile pilgrimage, basically from Georgia up to the top of Maine. And he was on this pilgrimage, and he said to me something I'll never forget. He said, I hike because it inspires me. And no pandemic is enough to put the fear in me not to live. And basically he was saying, you know, what he was communicating to me at that time was there's two ways to respond to this period. There's fear and dread, and it's really, and there's a second way. You can use this period, COVID, to empower yourself and to use this time to challenge yourself. And that really sat with me, you know, and that was one incredible story. I always draw inspiration from Appalachian Trail hikers.
That's incredible. And well, there's nothing, fresh air.
Yeah, it was just really, it was just,
right?
It was really inspiring while everybody was like on lockdown, and everybody was understandably going through this great period of fear. Here was this man courageously, you know, hiking the trail along on his life savings. You know, he's like, I'm just going to go. And he was safe along the way. I don't even, you know, he, you know, wore masks and socially distanced when he went into the shelters and all that. But for him, this was just his way of saying, I'm going to use this period to work on myself. And I knew many people who did that. I have other friends who used this period to deepen their relationship with organic gardening. I knew people during this time who moved off the grid and tried living more sustainably and back with the earth. I have another friend who started an uplifting and inspiring YouTube channel that now has 30,000 followers. It's brought a lot of joy to people. You know, there's just so much inspiration I've drawn from this period from people around me. But probably the most inspiring person of all that I've met in this period and rekindled the friendship with, I've known for years, is a beloved Cherokee elder friend of mine named Myrtle Driver. And she's elderly, and despite the risks of COVID, she's devoted her attention to alleviating the suffering of her fellow elders within the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians in North Carolina. She delivers meals. She has not stopped working. She works at a language center, and she's instrumental, the most important woman in her tribe that keeps nearly single-handedly the entire Cherokee language alive. She trains teachers in the Cherokee syllabary to keep their language alive, their native tongue. And seeing that COVID couldn't slow her down, that she still was attending these teacher trainings, and she was still translating books into Cherokee for children, and that she was still delivering meals to other elders, despite the fact that she herself was at risk of perhaps dying if she contracted this, was just absolutely inspiring and spoke to that nature of oneness. So, and by the way, she's the only, she's one of two women with the highest honor in Cherokee culture of the title of Beloved Woman. And she was granted that by the tribal council. And so she's been absolutely one of the most inspiring examples I've seen during this entire time. And so it's stories like that I wanted to share with people to let them know, yes, the fear that you're feeling is understandable and normal, but you don't have to let it paralyze you. You can use this time to empower yourself, improve yourself, spiritually awaken, and serve others. And there's a beautiful quote that I love, and it comes from Ram Dass, who is one of my most inspiring. I never met him directly, but he's been one of my most influential spiritual teachers. And the term is love, serve, remember. And that's something that I think all the people I've met during this time and who I've tried to share in the book, they capture that. The love, serve, remember.
Wow. Well, that's very powerful. and so many people live in fear as well, and fear is false expectations appearing real, or face everything and rise. It is truly a choice, isn't it?
It's always a choice, Brenda. It's always a choice. It's always a choice how you meet the fear, how you meet the suffering. We always have that choice. And while it may appear to us that we have no control over the suffering, we have absolutely control on how we respond to it. And obviously when we suffer, fear is one of the most common emotions we feel. But we can decide to meet that fear head on and use it for our own self-empowerment.
That's true. That is so true. So in self-empowerment, then there are some practices that people can do to find greater peace within themselves during these times, and also apply it to any other situation that comes along. You've obviously made a study of these practices and wondered if you could share some of these with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say for me, one of the most powerful practices is just simply mantra meditation. Every morning I try to put aside between 20 and 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be a very long time. 20 to 30 minutes to start your day with a positive affirmation. It could be one of gratitude. For example, I am grateful for this day. Please shine upon me with grace and blessings. It could be something simple as that, or it could be a mantra that inspires you. It could be, Om Namah Shivaya. It could be Om Mani Padme Hum. Whatever mantra speaks to your heart. I find mantra exercises to be really empowering for me. It helps focus my mind, and it helps channel myself in a positive direction. Another great mantra, I am the flute by which the breath of God flows through. I am the flute by which the breath of God flows through. And that's just something like that just like sets your intention for the day. It's positive, it's uplifting, and it carries out throughout your entire course of your day. So mantra meditation's been really big for me, and I think more than any, Brenda, we've all seen, since we're all in this together, we've all been through this collective suffering. Love and kindness meditations. That is incredibly inspiring, and all you really do is just picture it's a breath exercise, and on your in breath you picture a pink or a white light, the colors of love. It may be a green light for you, whatever color it may be, and you picture breathing that light of love into your heart space, and then on the out breath you breathe that love out to your friends, out to your family, and then eventually out to your community, out to your city, out to your state, out to the country, out to the world. And it's the basic loving kindness meditation. It comes from the Theravada Buddhist tradition, and I've found that to be one of the most powerful exercises for instantly putting you in that place where, oh yeah, we are one. I'm not separate from everything. We are connected. So love and kindness meditations, mantra meditations, and honestly, Brenda, ample time spent in nature. I think spending time in nature in solitude, if you don't have nature in your backyard, that's okay too. You can garden. I have many friends who I talk about in the book, and I just mentioned them earlier. I have some friends who started up their own beautiful, inspiring organic garden, and they live in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee, in the city. And they found their connection to nature through that way. I think for me, one of my deepest spiritual practices has been ample time spent in the natural world. And I would encourage that for all listeners to spend as much time as you can communing with the earth, because for me personally, Brenda, there's no higher truth than nature. I think the earth speaks wisdom.
Well, the earth has a magnetic pulse that really creates a resonance within ourselves, and when we're not resonating with the earth, then we become very dystonic, dysfunctional, and so there is great power, not just from the tactile experience or the sensorial experience, but actually because of the life experience. And so it is true that, spending time in nature can be the most powerful thing we can do to alleviate ourselves or just, to create a mindfulness that we need.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautifully put, Brenda. It's exactly. It's not only it's hyper mindfulness. It's a hyper presence. It's a hyper being here. You are in the words of Ram Dass, I just brought him up before. You can't help but be here now when you're in nature. It pulls your attention because you are of it. There's no separate you. You are it. The earth is you. You are the earth. You are made. You are powered by the sun. The water of the flowing waters in you. You are made of that. You are it. And it has that magnetic pull that you're talking about. It has the power to pull us out of ourselves.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. I wonder if I can put you on the spot. We did not discuss this or was this in any of the promotional material, but I wondered in the next 15 minutes if you could take us through a beautiful meditative experience that can help pull us out of ourselves.
Wow, that's a beautiful question. I would love to do that for sure. So like a little bit of a guided meditation?
Yes, please.
Okay, fantastic. Wow. I was not expecting this. This is beautiful. All right, so I'd like everyone to find a comfortable position right now. You can be either sitting cross-legged on the ground, on the earth, or against a wall, perhaps seated on your couch. You could have your arms crossed over your legs, or you could have your palms up. Whatever is comfortable and whatever feels natural for you. Try to keep your back straight possible, head up, and slowly close your eyes. Slowly close your eyes. For the first part of this meditation, we're just going to focus on our breath. So I just want you to breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Deep breaths. Breathe out. Your breath is your life force, your essence. It's what connects you, to the greater divine reality. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now as you're breathing in and as you're breathing out, I want you to picture a beautiful, beautiful mountain setting. It's a sunny day. There's beautiful mountains off in the distance. The sky is a radiant blue. There's a few puffy white clouds gliding across the sky, entrancing your being. making you feel present in the moment. So you're breathing in, breathing out. I also want you to picture animals surrounding you. Loving animals. It could be a dog, could be a cat, could be rabbits, squirrels frolicking, deers surrounding you. You are part of all that is when you're in nature. And nature is you. As you breathe in, I want you to breathe in this nature, this naturalness, this wild. And as you breathe out, I want you to send this feeling of serenity and peace and love that you're drawing from this natural background of wildness out into the world. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in the serenity and the peace and the love of nature. All the deer that surround you, and the squirrels, and the clear blue sky, and the sun, and the mountains off in the distance. Mountain creeks flowing in front of you. The sound of waterfalls are off in the distance. All that peace, all that serenity, breathe it in. Breathe it into your heart. I want you to breathe that serenity out to the world. Breathe it out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now, as you continue to breathe in and out, set against this backdrop, the imagery of Mother Nature, I want you to say this mantra to yourself. I am at peace. I am at ease. Peace. I am at ease. Breathe in. Breathe out. I am at peace. I am at ease. Breathe in. Peace. I am at ease. Breathe in. Breathe out. I am at peace. I am at ease. In the last couple minutes here, we're going to change up the mantra a little bit here. It's going to be, may all beings be at peace. May all beings be at ease. Breathe in. Breathe out. Still set against the backdrop of Mother Nature. Breathe in. Breathe out. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at ease. Breathe in. Breathe out. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at ease. Breathe in. Breathe out. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at ease. May all the suffering that people are going through during this time dissolve into the clear blue sky of your awareness. May the sun the way to your own awakening. May the mountains in the distance allow you to conquer all obstacles and transcend all suffering. May the deer in the background guide you with its compassion. May the squirrels fill you with playfulness. May all the rabbits enchant you with innocence. May the sound of the creek soften the distance and the waterfalls running down the jagged rock faces into the pool below remind you what came before birth and death. You are wise. You are divine. May all beings find that wisdom. May all beings find that divinity within themselves. And may all transcend suffering. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. That is absolutely beautiful. I was transported to the mountains, and I'm sure our listeners will enjoy that as well, Forrest.
That's beautiful. Thank you for letting me. I've never had anyone ask me that in any kind of interview. That is one of the most meaningful moments I've had in any kind of interview before, I can honestly say.
Well, I'm just honored to be able to have you share that with us. You know, it's one of those things, we can talk about the experiences, but actually bringing them to life for people in such a beautiful way is truly empowering.
Thank you. And I a lot of that imagery came from living in the mountains. They've truly inspired me more than I can even put into words. They've been my greatest teachers, and I just wanted to share some of that with everybody.
Well, it's beautiful. The mountains have been here generations upon generations before us, and will be here generations beyond us. And so to have a moment with that imagery is truly anchoring us into the reality of now, and all is calm and all is peaceful when you do that. You know, this breath, you have to do a breath check. This breath, this moment, this second of now is all we really have. And if we can make it peaceful, it is truly all we have. And to make it more real than just a passing breath is powerful.
That's beautifully put. The breath is a reminder that the transcendent is present in this moment. It's there. It's always there. It's always there.
Yeah.
The transcendent is present in this moment. That's another good mantra, by the way, too, that I do sometimes. The transcendent is present in the moment.
Awesome. Well, we are honored, and Forrest, your soulfulness and sincerity and just pure love of humanity shines through your conversation. And I would love our listeners to visit your website. So if you could share details and what they can expect when they visit your website would be wonderful.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to share this time with both you, Brenda, and your listeners. Absolutely an honor. I can't think of a better use of time than this. And you can visit my website at www.forrestrivers, FORREST, and then rivers.com. I have a blog on there where I post daily inspirationals. Sometimes it's a short story. Other times it's reflections. Other times it's a poem. But it's all meant to inspire hope and peace within you. So you can engage through the blog. And I also have a Forrest Rivers Facebook. You could just type that in and you'll find me. I'm also shortly going to be starting a YouTube channel that'll also be under the name Forrest Rivers, and it'll just be basically daily inspirationals, and that'll be starting within the next couple weeks. But right now, you can find me on forrestrivers.com and engage me on my blog, Facebook, and the book is available for purchase, COVID-19 and Humanity's Spiritual Awakening, on Amazon and through Conscious Life Media. And I just am grateful for this opportunity. So thank you.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. And also, too, I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing so much of yourself with our audience today, and for blessing us with that beautiful mindfulness and meditation. I want this to be a powerful tool in helping humanity to awaken to their greatest potential, no matter what. And so you have been magnificent. And, it's just one of these things. If we don't try to help each other, then where are we in this world?
Yes.
And
yes. And
this
I think
is one of those opportunities.
And COVID's taught us that not only are we all in this together, we're all one, but this should be a wake-up call for us as individuals and as a collective to work for a better world, to manifest the reality of a higher consciousness of interconnected souls that we truly are.
Beautiful words to end this show with. Namaste to you, Forrest, and hopefully
Namaste.
We will meet again and have more to share with our audience. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening to Empowered Living, and join us next time for more wonderful, inspired tips and techniques and empowerment made just for you. Bye for now.
Thank
you. Do you experience frequent headaches, sleep disturbances, skin prickling and burning, rashes, transient muscle and joint pain? Do you sit in front of your computer or under fluorescent lights for long periods of time? You could be experiencing electromagnetic sensitivity. Reduce the ravages with PEMF therapy. Just 8 minutes twice daily will calm your body down to healthy resonance and regeneration. Reduce stress and promote well-being. Find out more today by visiting www.pemfconsultant.com. That's www.pemfconsultant.com today.